Hi everybody, it's Anna. Time for a new tarot story this week. We start with the Monday card, and for that we have the Queen of Cups. So the Queen is the expansive principle of the court card. She's the part of the court that expands energy, makes it more hospitable, broadens its impact on the world. Heart cups are connected to the heart, so they're about following your intuitive wisdom, emotional fulfillment, and connecting with other people. So this queen sits at the seashore. Her feet are almost in the water. she's kind of welcoming people to come to her. She's got her cup raised up. The water is connected to intuition. So she's inviting people who are on the flow of their intuition to come to her. And in the flow of intuition, we are often in the astral plane. It's what we call the astral plane, where it's the emotional plane, where we're feeling things which may or may not seem to make logical sense, right? So she welcomes all that experience to her. And she especially welcomes us when we are feeling overwrought, confused, and in turmoil. And it's because she has the heart of a healer. The Queen of Cups is really, I think, the quintessential healer in probably the whole tarot deck. And that is because she knows how to take emotional rawness that doesn't have necessarily any logical connection and kind of distill it, bring it to a place of love and kindness and compassion, and alchemize it into precious jewels. And that's what we see at her feet here. That's how I read this card. She's got these jewels at her feet. There's this idea that what we think of as trash, often we're told these emotions, we need to get rid of them. They're not helping anything. They're just getting in the way. She knows how to find the jewels, the preciousness, the gold inside of that experience. So she teaches us in her experience of hospitality and love, she teaches us to value every part of our experience, even the parts that don't immediately make sense or don't seem logical, are still valuable. And if we can take our time to love ourselves, to let ourselves be loving in the world and to ourselves, then we're able to distill, to find the distillation of all that beauty and power and possibility. So when the card is upright, it suggests to me that we have this energy. We have the Queen of Cups energy in offering to the world around us. We are able to, our heart is offering itself to others to offer this kind of support and love. So consider where you notice this happening in your life, where you notice people are coming to you who are feeling they're in struggle, they're confused, they're feeling overwrought, and that your ability to look into that experience and to hold it gently might help them find their own path forward. Consider where you see that happening, or consider where it's being offered to you. You might discover that you're not open to it necessarily, and you might ask the question, why? Why would it be that you don't allow people to bring that to you? What is kind of blocking your heart from feeling hospitable and loving in that way? Because anytime we discover there's a block, we want to take responsibility for it. It's not just a block of our responsibility to other people. The block is actually to our own flow of energy. And we always want to release the flow of our energy as much as we possibly can. Every time you find a block, it's to your betterment and to the betterment of the world to release it. So just something to ponder today, and I'll see you tomorrow for our next card. Bye. Hi everybody, it's Anna. Time for the Tuesday card in this week's tarot story. Today we have the Two of Swords. Swords are connected to the mind, so they're about strategies, ideas, beliefs, paradigms. And the number 2 in the tarot, I connect to rooting in. So it's like we're giving ourselves a chance to, like the 1 is the seed card, right? We're just starting something new, and the 2 is the planting, the rooting in of our work. So this card shows a woman who's blindfolded, who's sitting at the seashore with crossed swords. And the idea here is that there are 2 paths. She has to make a choice. She has 2 paths in front of her, and she has to pick the one that she's going to follow. And she's blindfolded, suggesting that she's not clear on what paths to take. And this is an important step for the mind. The reason this is a rooting in card for the mind is at this moment, the mind is being encouraged to root into its relationship to intuition. You look behind you, the sea, water in the tarot, is connected to intuition. So the mind is learning right off the bat that in order to discern paths, it doesn't want to work on its own. It wants to work in concert, in partnership with intuition. I think this is a really important thing for any body or heart intuitives to understand, that you, at some point, the mind and intuition need to work together. And there's actually a way that I do that with my clients, but there's a way to do it, but you have to recognize you can't pick intuition or the mind. They have to work together. So if the mind works on its own, it's blindfolded. That means it can see both paths. Maybe it's projecting what might happen in the past. It's trying to figure out which is the best one, but really it's just guessing, because everything it's projecting isn't real. It's just a projection. So it has no data of the future. So if it's allowed to do this on its own, it's just going to guess, or it's going to get locked down. And she's kind of in a lockdown position right here. But if it trusts the intuition to inform it, if it allows, it's the heart. The heart is where intuition is often located in the tarot, although you can locate intuition in the mind, the body, or the heart. But in this case, I'm going to say the heart. That the mind learns that the heart, the intuitive heart, has access to information the mind doesn't have access to. And so when it comes to this kind of point where its data is limited, the best thing it can do is root into its partnership with intuition, allow intuition to inform it, and then it just flow into that path. Walk in faith. That's actually, this is the first time the mind's been challenged. It's the second step. The mind's been challenged to root into faith. If the mind can root successfully into faith this early in its trajectory, it's going to serve it. The mind has to constantly come back to moving into faith in the process of its 10-card trajectory. So consider how you might help your mind and your intuition work together. Figure out how to help the mind understand that just because it's blind doesn't mean you're blind. The intuition and the soul still know, still have an idea of the best thing to do, and then help your mind move in faith in that. That's our second card. See you tomorrow for our next one. Bye. Hey everybody, it's Anna. Time for the Wednesday card in this week's tarot story. So today we have the Ace of Swords, which is interesting because yesterday's card was the Two of Swords. And I sat with this for a while thinking, why are we moving backwards? Because you're moving from the 2 to the 1. But I think I have an answer. So as I said, the Ace is the 1 card in the trajectory. I connect it to the seed. It's the idea of beginning something new. Swords are connected to the mind. They're about ideas, beliefs, expectations, paradigms. So when the Ace of Swords shows up, it suggests to us that our mind is starting to learn something new. It's learning a new paradigm. It's challenging an old mindset. It's starting a new path in its understanding and its construction of how it's going to work in the world. So yesterday we had the Two of Swords, which is the second step after the 1, which is about, you started something new and now you have to pick what path you're going to take to follow up on that. What are you going to start doing in the world to sort of match your new beginning? So what occurred to me is, let's say the Two of Swords happened yesterday. We were able to kind of enlist the intuition support in making a choice. We made a choice. Now we discover we're a little lost again. Okay, so we're starting something. So the mind is now in this path, and the path is unfamiliar, which it would be because it's a new path. And the mind goes, oh my gosh, I don't know where we are. I don't know how, we make this path, and it's completely unfamiliar to me. It would be easy for the mind at that point to say, man, we made a mistake because I am in over my head. I don't know what's happening here. We're moving backwards. I thought I made a choice, move forward, and now I'm back to not knowing what's happening. That might be true if you're a linear thinker, but with a creative intuitive or a heart or body intuitive, things don't work the way the mind expects them to. So the mind might think the further you go into the path, the more masterful you get at it, right? You get better and better because you're getting more and more learning. But when you are a creative intuitive, that's not always the case. You often find yourself in unfamiliar places because unlike a path that has been trod many times, if there's a path and people have done it before, you know what to expect, you can plan for it. When you're evoking new things, when you're creating new things, every step is a new step. So even though you're a little bit further in your path now, you might still discover you get disoriented, you get a little bit lost, a little bit confused. The mind feels like it's starting over again. This is not because you're backing up. This is because you're moving forward. So it's helpful to let the mind know that every time you step into a piece of transition that feels unknown, you haven't misstepped, you've just stepped into something new, and the mind's going to figure that out. That's an important thing to tell the mind. You want to build confidence in the mind that, yeah, it can handle this. It can handle walking into unfamiliar things and find a way to orient itself. The mind is very clever and very quick. If it's allowed not to be fearful or judgmental, that's what slows the mind down. But when you encourage the mind to walk in faith and to be lighthearted and to be a bit playful and adventurous in how it engages the world, it is quite clever. It's good at this. It's good at navigating the physical world. So even though the mind might think, oh no, I'm back where I don't know what I'm doing. That happens to me a lot. Where my mind goes, oh no, we're doing something new. I don't know how to do this. I can say, well, you don't know how to do it yet. But, with the support, with encouragement from the soul, with encouragement from the intuition, the mind's going to figure this out. So help the mind not feel discouraged if it feels like it's now in a place where it doesn't know what it's doing. Because this is what learning feels like. This is what learning looks like. And typically the people who are drawn to my work are expansive people. That means they're always in a place of expansion, which means the mind has to learn that new things are always going to come. The unknown is always going to be the next thing we step into. And the mind learns that it's good at navigating that. It's good at figuring it out, finding a new place to live in, finding a new structure, and of course, then abandoning that structure when you expand again. So help your mind not be discouraged. Help your mind not to misread what is happening. You are not confused and lost because you've messed up, because you're going backwards. It's because you're moving forward. That's our Wednesday card. See you tomorrow for our next one. Bye. Hey everybody, it's Anna. Time for the Thursday card in this week's tarot story. So today we have our third Swords card in a row. Our mind is really getting a workout this week, and it is the Four of Swords. So the number 4 is connected to feeling anchored or balanced in the world. If you think about a stable table, it's always got 4 legs, right? So this is the idea of feeling at rest, at peace, and very relaxed in the world, right? So this card, as a Swords card, it's about the mind being relaxed. The mind is at ease. And the image we have actually is a crypt. So it's a tomb. And there's the knight sitting here, and he's in his little tomb, and he's got the swords on the wall and one beneath him. And the idea is that his mind is at rest. It's not struggling right now. It feels confident. It feels supported. And I feel like this card comes when the mind has learned how to anchor itself in faith. So we have the 2 of Swords, then the 1 of Swords. And both of those are about the mind starting something new. And the mind always feels a bit anxious when it's starting something new because it's never done this before. And it can try to project what to expect, but we know that doesn't really work. We know the world doesn't function linearly, at least not for people who are not linear. And people who watch my show are, not very linear people. So we know that the unexpected is going to happen. We know that nobody has done this path that we are on because we're also creative. We're evoking something new. So the mind feels unstable when we're starting something new. So the way we help the mind is encouraging it to walk in faith, to remind the mind that it's not by itself, that there is this intuitive principle that's also functioning that has access to more information than the mind does. And so the mind is learning how to, where it feels deficit, it feels like it doesn't know the answers. It learns how to have faith that there is a part of us that does know the next step, that does feel confident and clear and in flow. And so the mind learns how to supplement its own anxiety around not knowing with the faith that there is a part of us that does know. So by the time we get to the 4 of Swords part, that's where the mind, I think, is agreeing to the principle of faith. It's agreeing that it's okay that it doesn't know everything, that it can't predict what's going to happen, that the intuition and the soul are walking with it. They have access to the spiritual world. They have access to more wisdom than the mind does. And the mind's getting more confident that it knows how to handle things too. It can figure out how to navigate the unknown with the support and help of the soul. So I think this is the point where we want the mind to relax a bit. Because after the 4 point, we got the 5 point, which is the challenge, right? So just before we enter our big challenge in the trajectory, we have a time of stabilizing. So do what you need to do to help your mind stabilize. That means you give your mind kindness. We cannot stabilize our mind if we're mean to it, if we ignore it, if we treat it like it's a fuddy-duddy. Often intuitive people, body and heart intuitive people, have an anxious or an aggressive relationship with their mind, because the mind seems like it's always pushing it against us. You can't move forward easily. You can't expect your mind to be relaxed if you keep fighting with it. Just like you can't expect your intuition to be relaxed if the mind keeps fighting with it. There has to be a place where they come together. And that's a really important piece of the spiritual journey if you're a hot body or a heart intuitive. It's one of the main things I start off with my clients. So see if you can find a way to bring them to the table together and help your mind understand that it's not knowing something is okay. It's to be expected. And their mind's not doing anything wrong by not knowing. It can rest and trust that there is a larger principle moving it forward, and it will know what to do when the time comes. That's our Four of Swords. See you tomorrow for our last card this week. Bye. Hi everybody, it's Yana. Time for our final card in this week's tarot story. So we close with the Major Arcana card, which is a life lesson from the tarot, and it is the Chariot reversed. So the Chariot is a number 7 card in the Major Arcana, and the 7 is about making wise choices. The Chariot is a vehicle of great momentum. If you think about chariots as they're depicted in movies, I guess is the only place I've ever really seen a chariot. It's like this powerful instrument, sometimes of destruction, where it just runs over everything. So once the chariot is in motion, it is pretty much unstoppable. And that is the idea behind this card. There's an unstoppable power available to us. Right now, though, it's not in motion. You see the charioteer, he's just looking out across the horizon. He doesn't have the reins in his hand. He's just looking out over the horizon. And it's like he is making a choice. The 7, he's wisely discerning where he wants to go. And I think of the source of his discernment is the question of joy. What gives him joy? Where does he want to go? What gets him excited? So I think of the 7 as being connected to discernment and joy at the same time. So he's taking the time to surface his joy. He's not just going to take this powerful instrument of momentum and just take it anywhere. He's waiting for the clarity of what will really make him happy. So this card came to us reversed. And that suggests to me that we're getting a little stuck in the question of what makes us happy. And we may not even be asking the question. I think this is an important thing to look at, especially this week, because we've had 3 swords in a row. The swords are about the mind, right? About trying to figure out our mindsets, what's got us stuck. We've done a lot of kind of delicate problem solving with the mind this week, which is necessary and important because we do need the mind to be in good shape. We need to help the mind develop a lovely partnership with intuition. And to do that, we have to help the mind, right? We want to be loving and kind to the mind. But we want to remember that what we're here on the planet to do actually is to serve joy. And when I say joy, I mean the highest vibration of being human on the planet. Joy is about exuberance and power and momentum, right? And that is really powerful fuel. And the things that give us joy correlate with our purpose on the planet. So as we move in joy, we are opening our own floodgates to energy, and we become a vortex of energy on the planet. So what happens to give you joy also happens to serve the planet. So the question, what gives me joy, it's not just self-serving. That's where people get stuck. They think, oh, I'm just being selfish. It's not self-serving. The reason it feels good to you is you're built to do it because the world needs you to do it, right? So I think that this is a nice reminder. Chariot showing up here is a nice reminder. Don't get so caught in problem solving with the mind. Which can turn into navel gazing if you're not careful. Don't get so caught in that you forget why you're here. You're here to be in joy. So it's good. And also the mind can get stuck examining itself. That's why I was talking about the navel gazing, right? It can get stuck examining itself, and then it turns into its own world. But joy brings us into the present moment in the physical world. It's like, I am here as a body on the planet to do stuff, right? So what really gets me excited? What would get me thrumming, in my body? Because when we thrum in our bodies, that's a vibration the universe hears and it responds to. Now we've got our momentum and the universe's momentum joining together to make something happen. But it comes from the question, what gives me joy? That's where it starts. So check in and see, when's the last time you asked yourself, what gives me joy? Or if you haven't, ask it now. And like this charioteer, sit still and wait for the answer. Don't move until you get a twinkle a twinkling, a sparkliness. There's something that you go, okay, I'm going to try that. That's what you're looking for. Don't seek out joy. Don't move to find joy. That's doing it backwards. Wait for something to surface and then make your choice and start moving. That is our tarot story for this week. See you next time. Bye.